Hello, everybody. Good morning. Hi. It is a interesting morning right now. I want to thank you guys for hopping in here, and also hello to you. See Bomber, Darkest Hour, Litro, Caitlin. Hey, baby. This is time for some speculation and some interesting talk because we just got some pretty interesting news. This is something that a lot of people have been speculating about to begin with, that this was going to happen. It has happened. The announcement has been made. And let's discuss, right? Hey, Avengers is coming to Game Pass. Yes. Now that's not crazy in and of itself, right? Lots of games come to Game Pass, and lots of big games, including Square Enix games in the past, have come to Game Pass. Even some of them on day one, like Outriders and so on. This is more interesting because this game did have PlayStation marketing rights at launch. They also have an exclusive character in Spider-Man, which we have still not seen, which is interesting because hey, it's been over a year since the game released, right? It's been over a year. The game came out, I think, early September of last year, with the promise of Spider-Man on PlayStation, which for a lot of PlayStation fans was really cool. You know, getting an exclusive character. Xbox fans weren't so happy about it, right? But hey, it's been over a year and still no sign of Spider-Man, or like I don't even think we even have a release date for that yet. And we instead now we have a release date for Avengers in Game Pass, which is interesting. Now, I don't want to just talk about this from the perspective of the game. I want to talk about this from the perspective of the developer, who is Crystal Dynamics, the publisher, which is Square Enix. And if you remember, was it just last week we got this news about Crystal Dynamics helping on the development of Perfect Dark? And then less than a week later, their biggest game is coming to Game Pass. It seems like some interesting things are happening here between the Xbox and Square, potentially Xbox and Crystal Dynamics. Maybe it was a big old check handed over in exchange for some kind of deals and partnerships or whatever. Maybe there's more to it in the form of some form of acquisition. Who knows exactly what's going on? But two pieces of news to follow week after week involving one studio that is a big time studio is very interesting to me. What does it mean? Does it mean Xbox is acquiring Square Enix? Does it mean they're purchasing Crystal Dynamics from Square? Does it mean there's a some kind of development partnership with Square Enix and going beyond even Crystal Dynamics? Does it mean that there's a bigger deal bringing their games to Game Pass, and part of it was getting some development help? Who knows exactly what's going on? But the news last week of Square Enix's own dev, Crystal Dynamics, helping on a Xbox first party game was pretty interesting, right? That's not something you see very often in that form. You see third party studios help out all the time, right? But not necessarily people with the clout of a Crystal Dynamics. So hey, this is pretty interesting going on now that the week after their big game is coming to Game Pass. The game that had PlayStation marketing rights, the game that had PlayStation exclusive content on it coming to Game Pass. Now, what do like just is that interesting to anybody else? Anybody else see that something could be going on? Hey, what's up, Invader? What's up? What's up, Tando? Tando says you were just about to buy this game. Hey, you could be like my friend Rick Payne, who did just buy this game, which was on sale. Don't you love when they do this, guys? When they put a game on sale and then like the week after it gets announced into Game Pass. Bomber says he just thinks that they have partnered with Crystal before and it's a decent enough relationship and they probably want to bring Perfect Dark sooner. Yeah, Daryl Gallagher, who was the head up at Crystal Dynamics and also the head of all of Western Publishing for Square Enix and the Western Studios. I mean, um, he is the head of the initiative, who was a team that they said they wanted to stay small and nimble, and they reached. out for outside help, and of course the connection's there with Crystal Dynamics. But there has to be a deal that's made to make that happen. There has to be money exchange from Xbox, Microsoft to Square Enix, um, and Crystal Dynamics to make that deal work, right? And within a week after that, the announcement comes that their game is coming to Game Pass. It's just a little interesting to me, the timing of it, right? I get the whole thing. Like I'm this is not in any way a criticism of that move. In fact, I think that is going to be absolutely amazing for the initiative's Game Perfect Dark. I think it's going to be a great thing for it, right? But the timing of this just is like all very convenient, right? Now it has been over a little over a year since Avengers came out, like I said. So it came out early September. So maybe with whatever kind of contract they had with PlayStation, this is just now the time where they're allowed to bring it into Game Pass. That's also a very likely scenario, right? That the timing of their not able to release content on any other services like Game Pass is up, right? That maybe now that they're free to do as they please. Um, so that's very interesting. It just hey, it's if I remember with that Capcom contract though, the one that had leaked about Resident Evil, it seemed like there was like it was like a year, and then it had like all these provisions to it, like okay, then they can't do it for 3 months after the year, and then like 2 months after that, after they've let them know that they're doing it. It was crazy. I don't know if I mean all deals are not created equal, all contracts are not the same, but it seems still a little early potentially, right? For that announcement because the announcement was made today and it's coming in 2 days. That's a quick turnaround, right? That's a quick turnaround. So Rick says, "Yeah, Mav, isn't this odd? Crystal Dynamics doing Perfect Dark, then now Avengers and Game Pass. This Crystal thing might be bigger than we think, bro. That's what this is about right now." Darkest Hour says it feels like this relationship is moving quickly. Typically, we see a game getting added to Game Pass advertised more than 3 days in advance. Exactly. The timing of this is all very convenient. Usually, you have those announcements. Like, did they just announce like not that long ago a list of games that were coming to Game Pass, and Avengers was not on that list? Something happened recently with Square Enix, Crystal Dynamics, and Xbox that has creating that announcement that we saw last week and leading up to the announcement that we're seeing now with Avengers quickly turning around and coming into Game Pass. The other side of this might be so good for the game. Yes, it did come out on I think on is either PlayStation Now or PlayStation Plus. I can't remember exactly what it dropped on before with PlayStation. But the amount of subscribers to Game Pass is vast, right? I think last time was like in the 20s somewhere, in 20 million something, right? You all of a sudden are going to have this game put into that service, and the potential amount of players that are going to be playing it is exponentially greater, right? In a game like Avengers that is built around the models of trying to monetize people buying outfits and stuff like that, hey, that could be good for the game. It could be good for Square. It could be good for Crystal Dynamics as well. And also, we could potentially see more content come into the game if there's an influx of people playing it. All that is possible. We know that they updated the game a few times. They had the Series X update for free. They took advantage of that whole smart delivery program and everything. So the game plays way better than it did at launch. I'm not gonna lie, there's still some issues. There is still some issues I have with this game. For example, the Black Panther content was amazing. I really enjoyed it, but it was broken at the end. There was a bug that kept me from actually finishing it. And my buddy 3-Bit and Jasper had the same issue. They've eventually got it to work after trying again and again and again. However, that's one bug overall, the game has not been too crazy buggy for me, but there's some other system issues that they've already addressed that they said they're working on to change the game for the better. They've already said they're overhauling things. So I think they're invested into this still because it's such a big franchise and such a big IP with the Avengers. I mean, you don't get a deal with Marvel like that to make a game like the Avengers and then screw it up without trying to make everything right. Like I think they're going to keep investing into this, and Game Pass is a huge part in that. What's up, my Sakura Jima? I hope I'm saying that right. You wanted to play, try it out since it came out. At least I'll be able to play it this week. Yes, on the 30th, in 2 days, Avengers is going to be hitting Game Pass. Quick turnaround, news all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it is coming to Game Pass. Right after the news of last week, Crystal Dynamics saying that they are helping the initiative on Perfect Dark. Like stuff's adding up for me right now. You know what I mean? I this is speculation. This is just what if. This is just fun talk, guys. I'm not like saying 100% something's happening. It's just if I put two and two together in my head with this stuff, it just is very convenient. Victor Alstein says, "Hey, maybe now Avengers might get more eyes on it. It definitely will, but they got to deliver on that promise, right? With the amount of players that are going to be diving in to play this game for the first time because they didn't want to. They heard some bad things. They just like weren't sure about it. They held off. Some of them bought it when it was on sale, but I mean, you got a lot of people. It's Avengers. Like that's a big name. Okay, Game Pass, right? It's going to be all over people's screens when they turn on their Xboxes. Hey, get to play this game for free. There's going to be a lot of new players diving in to Avengers. We'll see how they handle it, right? We'll see how they handle it. Is it going to do well? Right? Is it going to are people going to like it? I know this too, right? Out of all the hate that Avengers gets, there's a lot of people that I know that absolutely love this game and are just unapologetic about it. They're like, "Hey, I know it's got issues, but I love it." Right? And I get it. There's a lot of things to love. The story was great. It's got great graphics. Some of the gameplay is super solid. The issues I have are more like system based and stuff like that, right? Victor Alstein says, "Hey, I doubt Crystal Dynamics is returning to uh, Square Enix. Chances are Square Enix calls back. A large number will resign to work for Xbox." Well, I mean, Crystal, for all I think, doesn't Square Enix own Crystal Dynamics? Like, I think they are a subsidy of Square Enix. So whatever you call it. I think Square Enix owns Crystal Dynamics. So whatever deal is made here has to be between Xbox and Square, or maybe they go directly to Crystal, and then Crystal Dynamics gets approval from Square. I don't know all the ins and outs of this, but there's something to this because two announcements within a week involving Xbox, and this one on a game that had those PlayStation marketing rights and exclusive character, which we still have not seen. We don't even, like I said, I don't even think we have a date. Do we even have a date for Spider-Man content coming out on PlayStation? The content that they advertised before the game came out. They made a big deal about Spider-Man was coming exclusively to PlayStation. Over a year later, we have not even received a date for that. If you were excited about that before launch, and that's the reason you chose to buy it on a platform, what if you found out it's not even for over a year away? Over a year away. I mean, let that sink in. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see anybody really talking about it too much. The fact that the Spider-Man's still not out on the PlayStation, but that's like that was a big marketing thing. It's like undelivered promises right now. I don't know if that's on Square, if it's on PlayStation, if it's on Crystal Dynamics, or what, or if it's on Marvel. Something was messy there. HR Bomber says they did that for marketing to sell for PS, and PS users bought the hell out of the game. Yeah, no Spider-Man. Too much about the game that you can't stand, so won't be getting into it again. But I guess for those who enjoy the game, hope more would get into it. Yeah, I'm hoping for improvements still over time. I'm hoping. I think the game still has potential because it's Avengers and it's made by a good studio. They just need to keep adding things to it and tweaking the systems. Some of the elements they chose to go with the design of the game, the core design of the game, don't work very well. Like the characters from like level 1 to like level 150 or whatever don't feel that much different, right? There's not that much game changing gameplay there. It's just you're hitting for higher numbers, and there's a few skills you can do with combos and stuff that are different, but not like you see with other like this has got like an RPG system, not like other games that have these big skill trees where it's like you later when you level up to a super high level, you unlock some ability that just completely changes everything, right? Avengers is missing that. They're missing that rewarding aspect for grinding. They're missing that gameplay changing element with the level up system. They're also missing cosmetic content when you are picking up loot. People really want to see the stuff that they've been grinding for reflected on the screen, right? So there's like this and that. The other thing is they need more variety in enemies, right? There's so much of the same old enemies everywhere and stuff like that. There's a lot of different issues I have with the core gameplay, but ultimately it still feels good to play and it looks good. It's a well-made game with messed up systems, right? If they can adjust a lot of those things, they are if they have the game in Game Pass and all these other things, you're gonna get a lot of players giving it a shot, right? So the question is, how long is it gonna be in Game Pass, and what else is going on? Lost Forever says not going to play it even for free. Darkest Hour says if they did buy Crystal Dynamics from Square Enix, you could see Daryl being promoted in 5 years to oversee more studios, take some off of Matt Booty's plate. That is actually a very, very interesting and good thought because that would make him in a similar role than he's been in before. And maybe there was something to them bringing him on board to begin with to get the initiative started. Who knows? That's a great speculative thought. Um, I really like that comment. Actually, if you want to have fun speculation, that's one to go with right there. If they did buy Crystal Dynamics, you could see Daryl Gallagher being promoted in 5 years to oversee more studios, take some off of Matt Booty's plate because Matt Booty has a lot on his plate right now. I think just last week, I saw Clobrel, if you're familiar with him on Twitter, posted a picture, and then actually it was updated, had been updated on Xbox's website to where all of the studios are now on the Xbox Game Studio page all together, right? I don't know what that means exactly, but they used to be separated in between Bethesda, ZeniMax, and then also Xbox Game Studios. Now it's all under just one thing. I don't know if that's just to make it more clear to people or what, but Matt Booty does have a lot on his plate. We got Pete Hines there, managed ZeniMax, Bethesda stuff with with Todd Howard and their whole side, right? I think they're kept a lot of stuff intact with the way that they operate to make things more streamlined. But if they are going to continue growing, which is we know it's something that they've wanted to do. We know that Xbox has been looking to acquire more studios. They have actually said this themselves. This is not speculation when they actually say it themselves. Xbox is looking, always on the look right now, for talent to bring in and help diversify their lineup more to bring more games into Game Pass. Okay. That's what this is all about. Now we see last week that announcement, Crystal Dynamics working on Perfect Dark, that's going to do two things. It's going to get Perfect Dark out sooner, going to a very talented large studio like Crystal Dynamics. Also, it deepens the relationship between Xbox and Square. It also deepens the relationship between Xbox and Crystal Dynamics. It adds something to that. And then a week later, this announcement happens out of nowhere, out of the blue, and it's coming in 2 days. Avengers hitting Game Pass. Is there a check? How big of a check that was just sent over to Square? Right? Like, what do you think? That's hey, well, we're gonna make a deal with you guys. We're gonna bring some of your games into Game Pass, and we're also gonna get help from you guys in developing some of our first party content. This is gonna be a partnership. It seems like there's some form of partnership. I don't know if it's a full on acquisition, but it seems to me, if I was to just judge this based on appearances alone right now, there appears to be some form of partnership going on between Square and also Xbox. Tokyo Game Show. What is it? Tomorrow? Today? I don't even know. Tokyo Game Show is right around the corner. Maybe we'll learn more about it. Mr. Kima says, if I recall, Microsoft visited Square Enix in Japan 6 months ago, and no one knew what that meeting was about. Very interesting. Was there a check transferred? Was that a negotiation? Was that a handshake, meeting of the minds? Was that coming to terms, coming to an agreement? Was that a meeting with Japan's a long way away. You can't just imagine Phil's just taking trips just to say hello, right? He's going there on business. This is a business trip going to Japan, right? It's to improve Xbox in Japan. It's to talk with the partners of Xbox, with the developers in Japan, with the publishers in Japan, trying to make things happen for Xbox. That's what that's all about. It's quickly seeing moves right now. Quickly seeing moves. Crazy moves. Right? Avengers, a game like Avengers coming into Game Pass alone is not crazy. Right? That's not shocking. Right? It happens all the time. MLB The Show came to Game Pass day one. And it's a Sony game. Things happen. Could Xbox have made a deal with Marvel to make this happen? Who knows? Like, I don't know. Something's going on. Crystal, Square, and Xbox. Yeah, it just adds up. Is it all coincidence? Crystal Dynamics, Perfect Dark, Avengers, Xbox, Game Pass, all within the span of a week. What's up, Fox? How's it going? Lost Forever, Back from Dead. Uh, everybody, thank you for tuning into this. Super appreciate it. I just had to go live, right? I saw this news and it got my mind swirling, and I was like, what the hell? Really? Last week? After that? Now this? Out of nowhere? Like they just again, guys, they just had posted the games coming to Game Pass like last week. And this is out of nowhere like this. And the other thing is, right? So the thing about the Crystal Dynamics and initiative thing was it just caught everybody off guard because it was so strange. You, normally, you do not see an announcement like that made with a partnership development deal, right? No, normally, you don't see an announcement of that type made like that. Secondly, it was just randomly at nighttime. Like, was it on the weekend even? I'm not even, I don't remember what day it was or middle of the week or something. But it was just out of nowhere at night. You saw the initiative tweet, and then you saw the Crystal Dynamics tweet. Like, hey, we're excited to be working on this and add this to our portfolio of games that they're working on, which they included Tomb Raider, Avengers, and um, Perfect Dark. Initiative saying they're so happy to be partnering with Crystal Dynamics here. And we all talked about like, hey, there's a lot of people that have freaked out about that, like just knee jerk reactions, and we're saying, oh my god, this is like horrible. It just means like, hey, an initiative can't make games. Initiative of quadruple A studio. What? Like what are they talking about? All this stuff. They're completely ignoring the fact that they had even said over when Perfect Dark was announced at the Game Awards shortly after they had some interviews and stuff. They said they were staying smaller. They're looking to work with other studios and all these things to for their development on games, and that's kind of what their plan is. It's only like a 70 something person studio. You compare that to like other major studios out there that have hundreds of devs, right? It's all makes sense to partner with somebody, but and the way that it was announced was the intriguing thing because usually these things are just they're teams that you never hear about, right? This was about promoting Crystal Dynamics. This was about saying, "Hey, guess what everybody? Crystal's working on this game." Right? That was about sharing that huge information with everybody. Then this happens a week after. Avengers come into Game Pass. Crystal Dynamics, biggest game right now. It's coming to Game Pass. Maybe those Daryl Gallagher ties are stronger than we think. Has stuff been in the works for a long time with Square? Hey, Rick Payne just says, "Hey, PS5s are at GameStop if anybody in the chat wants. Hey, go get it. You can." Um, yeah, Beast Mode says, "Are they signaling 1 plus 1 equals 2?" Clearly. John America said, "I love this one. Fans ask for Marvel. Uncle Phil delivers." This is another good point. What have we been seeing a lot in the last 2 weeks, including with this channel? Is Xbox going to make more deals and bring a Marvel game to Xbox? Now we have Marvel games like Avengers is already on Xbox, right? We have Guardians of the Galaxy coming, right? We have the 2K Midnight Suns game is coming. Um, we have Suicide Squad, Gotham Knights. All these games are coming to Xbox, right? But when people look at PlayStation, they see Spider-Man, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2, and the announcement of the Wolverine. People start saying, "Well, hey, like this is exclusive stuff that they got, and Xbox doesn't have those type of superhero games on the platform. Instead, they get these like big publisher multi-plat style games coming to Xbox." And then also we have um even Nintendo had Ultimate Alliance was an exclusive on Switch. So it's like kind of looking at it like, hey, where's the Xbox's superhero game, right? Well, shortly after all of this talk happens, again, Avengers gets announced at Game Pass. Is this potentially Xbox's way of saying, "Hey, look, we're looking out for you in the superhero category, right? We're trying to make sure that everybody has the superhero stuff that they want." It's still, I personally, I'm not saying they absolutely need it, but when you see all these other publishers making deals like 2K, um, freaking Sony, Nintendo, Square Enix, for all of these Marvel characters and stuff. You got big licenses too. You got Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, Ultimate Alliance. You got which has a ton of characters in it, right? You got Spider Man getting exclusive on Avengers on PlayStation. All these other things. For me, it'd be like, hey, obviously Marvel's willing to make deals right now, right? Obviously, they're just like willing to make deals left and right with these publishers for games. So, like, hey, just pick up the phone and see what you can work out. It'd be pretty cool to get something, with one of your massive, major, good first party studios with something from Marvel because fans like that stuff. Marvel fans like that stuff, and you got a lot of talent. I'm not saying it's necessary or needed. I think it would be pretty cool. The other thing is, uh, they already doing that with Indiana Jones, but we don't know two things. We don't know if that's exclusive, and we also don't know, um, like if that had that. I think that had already. deal had been made before Xbox acquired them, right? So I don't know how responsible they are for that or not. So there's a lot of things to think there, but it'd be interesting for me to see that happen. I would actually really enjoy that. Um, Star Wars too, guys. Everybody's rumored to be working on a Star Wars game right now. It'd be really interesting to see if Xbox went out there and got that. It seems like they're just willing to make deals with tons of people. So it'd be pretty cool. I think it'd be big news. I think it'd be a good move by Xbox. But this is a way right now to say, hey, look, we still got you covered with Game Pass with games like this, right? They're bringing lots of different genres, lots of different variety to Game Pass. So that's one way of looking at it. Is this all it's about? I don't know, but I look at that as still it's like Crystal Dynamics Initiative, Crystal Dynamics Avengers, right? Crystal Dynamics Perfect Dark, Crystal Dynamics names popping up a lot in the last week and a half in the Xbox front. Yo, my that's awesome. So Battlefield 2042 open beta trailer just hit. Gonna check that out. I'm going to watch that. The thing about this, Victor says, is when certain games come to Game Pass, it's an event. This is the most attention Avengers has ever had since releasing. That is very true. You know, can Game Pass save the Avengers? In turn, can Xbox save the Avengers? Right? Hey, Killanitis, yo, dude, the Cowboys killed it yesterday. It's sort of Dak fumbling in the end zone and then scoring that way, the Eagles scoring that way. I mean, wow. Like, I mean, that was crazy, dude. And they also had the other one where we're like on the 1 yard line and couldn't get in. That was just utter annihilation and destruction of the Eagles yesterday. So hey, way to go, Cowboys. Matt Burns is excited for 2042. Rick Payne's good news for Crystal. Matt Burns says his Eagles are terrible. Yeah, dude. That was a crazy game. Hey, I think there's something going on here between Crystal and the Avengers. I think it just, I mean, Crystal and Xbox, Square Enix and Xbox. I think it's all fitting. I think at some point, personally, I believe that they're going to probably at some point make some kind of announcement of some kind of partnership deal, or we maybe get more announcements from stuff with Square in the future. I think that the ties are growing stronger. The relationship is getting bigger. Next, what thing we need to see is more Final Fantasy stuff make its way. They're working hard on this stuff. Like there's something going on here. Crystal Dynamics is arguably one of like Square Enix's best Western development studio. You have like Eidos Montreal. You got Crystal Dynamics. You got a lot of stuff, right? Um, but Crystal Dynamics is the ones that rebooted Tomb Raider. They made a character that's one of the most iconic characters in all of gaming. And when they were done with their franchise and rebooting it, it was better. That's interesting. Matt Burns says, "What if Xbox just bought Crystal Dynamics from Square instead of all of Square?" It's possible. I I mean, it would be very. Here's the thing. I don't know if Square would need to do that deal if they are losing interest in their Western games, right? I don't know. I think it's like I said earlier. I think there's some form of partnership because going to Square and having one of their devs work on one of your games is definitely interesting. So, is it Crystal Dynamics acquired from Square Enix? Is there other studios potentially in that deal as well? Maybe the whole Western division of Square? Is it Square Enix as a whole? Is it none of the above and a partnership deal being made to bring more games to Game Pass and also including development help from Square? Something, something. Is Square Enix disappointed in the Avengers and the studio, and that's why they're potentially willing to sell them off? I don't know. Like Daryl Gallagher is 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 the piece in this whole thing that makes you look at it and be like, hmm, it gets interesting. They already have ties, you know. Jean Marc Louis says, just buy Take Two and ruin the Sony fanboys whole year. You would buy popcorn and just watch those podcasts have meltdowns. Oh my gosh, dude. Did y'all see the comments made on, I think it was a show. I've been seeing it all over Twitter about people saying that Xbox doesn't know how to develop internal studios. They just have to acquire things and they don't know what to do with them. They're horrible at managing them and all this stuff. Now, I would say, hey, if you go back to um, early, late 360, early Xbox One generation, you have a case there, right? Um, but that's not the same company that we're dealing with now. And in fact, prior to that time period, you could say the opposite as well. They had done well with studios at that point, cultivating them and managing them, and they're pumping out good games and all that kind of stuff. So, like, you can't take a sample size of a bad era, a bad time period, because they've all had it, right? Nintendo's had it, PlayStation's had it, Xbox has had it, Sega has definitely had it. Even all the publishers, Capcom, go. You can run the gamut. They've all had that time period when it's just like shit sucks, stuff isn't working, shit hits the fan. Their model was bad. They got to rethink, reshift, refocus, and rebuild. Right? We've seen that numerous times. To take that one time period when that happens and just blanket it for the entire company and what they're doing going forward is a huge mistake, and it's a huge misconception of what Xbox is doing. 343 was built within Xbox. It may have been started from a smaller studio that built into this bigger one or whatever. I don't know exactly the far-reaching background of where the initial roots of 343 came from. 343 gets a lot of crap, right? Because they're a massive studio that has had dev issues here and there and stuff. But you look at that Halo Infinite flight, that's just the most impressive thing I have seen this gen. And that's a multiplayer game. And it's going to be free for everybody, right? And that is a massive operation they have. They are the studio that developed that. To come out and say that Xbox can't build a studio when you out the same weekend that they just had this massive, amazing beta that everybody is raving and ranting and raving about that came from a studio that they cultivated themselves is moronic. Bad take. You also look at the coalition. Come on now, right? Yeah, they made it started as a smaller thing. They built up into this much bigger, better thing. There are studios within Xbox that they have built and cultivated that is successful. Then you go on to say, why did they buy Ninja Theory? Why did they buy Double Fine? Because they're good studios that make good games that are going to get more budget and bring out games to Game Pass. It's the business model in which they are taking. Don't be scared of Xbox and shit on everything they do just because you can't do it yourself. Just because you can't get those kind of studios, right? Like I get it. You know, you hit a home run with Insomniac, which was, by the way, acquired. Acquired. Insomniac did not start from Sony. Making bunch of games now for PlayStation. Hey, I don't get this like nonsensical talk about like everybody makes acquisitions, including other publishers. EA just bought fucking Codemasters. Naughty Dog, yeah, Beast Mode. Yeah, there you go. You want to talk about like something like, hey, like Xbox doesn't know how to build a studio; they can only acquire them because they have money, and they're just gonna throw it around blindly and build an empire. Oh, fuck that. Come on, they do both. Guess what? It's easier and sometimes better to acquire the talent in studios, especially ones that need it and are looking to be acquired. These devs have to sign that dotted line. Double Fine is one of the most innovative and creative developers out there that make a specific type of game. And guess what? They are already uh, putting out excellent content as an Xbox first party studio. You don't say, why did they do this? Why did they do that? Like Ninja Theory? Come on. Like Hellblade? Have you played it? Amazing game. We're gonna see amazing things from that studio with Hellblade 2 and the Project Mara and other stuff that they got going on. Why did they buy Bethesda ZeniMax? Bring more games into Game Pass, make the subscription model stronger and better. Why did they buy In Exile? Because they make interesting, different games, make good games. And guess what? They're being cultivated and invested in. One of the first things I saw from In Exile after they were acquired was they're moving into new studios that are fantastic. They look amazing. They're hiring. Their new project just got leaked, right? Project Cobalt, I think is what it is. Steampunk FPS RPG. Gonna be amazing, right? Hey, it's just the people to like go around and say like, well, Xbox doesn't do this, Xbox doesn't do that. Guess what? PlayStation does a lot of the same stuff. It's just on a smaller scale, and they have a focused dev cycle, and they have some great. They have focused developers that they are very specifically targeting certain types of games, and they know what they're doing. They have excellent studios, make some of the best games out there. And guess what? People aren't going to see it coming, but Xbox gets all these games rolling out. It's going to be absolutely insane. Look at the star of the show at E3 and Forza Horizon 5. The star of the show at E3 was Forza Horizon 5, who had some of the best graphics people have ever freaking seen. And you pair that with Halo Infinite and that flight test that everybody's been playing. That's a true evolution of multiplayer gameplay. With especially with Halo and the graphics in that and the smooth butter gameplay with that on Series X. It's absolutely insane. So hey, look out for Xbox first party, everybody. They're not the same group that from 2013, right? This is much later, and potentially, Crystal Dynamics coming into that mix. Crystal Dynamics. Who knows what that deal is, but we know one thing. We know two things. Okay. One thing we know is Crystal Dynamics is working on an Xbox first party game. Regardless of anything else, you add Crystal Dynamics to the mix because of that. And we know their last large game is coming into Game Pass. Absolutely insane. Something going on. If you compare, now I see some of y'all talking about Call of Duty. Hey, I'm gonna watch this Battlefield trailer in a little bit, and I'm excited to play that open beta as well. But if you compare that Halo Infinite Flight from an Xbox first party studio that people all of a sudden say they can't make games and all this stuff, right? If you compare that shit to what we got with that Vanguard beta, I put this on a tweet. People used to compare Call of Duty to Halo all the time, and I couldn't stand it because people wanting Halo to modernize and be more like Call of Duty instead of just accepting Halo is Halo and it's going to evolve in a Halo way. And then guess what happens because everybody keeps asking and saying all this stuff? They start making Halo more like Call of Duty, and it sucked. It was ruining Halo. Then you see with Halo Infinite, they just go fucking balls to the wall, embrace Halo. They embrace what Halo was, what Halo needs to be moving forward, an evolution of pure fucking Halo. And you compare what we got with that now, this because everybody for so many years has been so obsessed with comparing COD to Halo, calling it the Halo killer back in the day. If you compare what we got in that Halo flight to that Vanguard beta, oh my god. Activision looks like they don't know what the hell they're doing. They got all of the devs at Activision working on Call of Duty. Imagine if Xbox had all of their studios working on Halo. All of them. All of their 20 something studios. And they produced a turd like that Vanguard beta. Oh my gosh. But you add Crystal Dynamics to the mix now, guys. They are working on an Xbox first party game, and now their game is coming to Game Pass. This relationship is getting stronger. Money is being transferred. We don't know how deep this goes, but there's a rabbit hole, and I can't fucking wait to find out what it is. I want to know. Hey, this has been fun, guys. Dude, I appreciate all of you guys coming in and hanging out for this. And I want to know in the chat real quick, right? Like, I just got a question for the chat right now. Do you think there is something deeper to this with Crystal Dynamics, with the Game Pass announcement with Avengers coming randomly in 2 days? It's a huge announcement. Plus, Perfect Dark development. Do you think there is something deeper? Put a 1 for yes and put a 2 for coincidence. A 1 for yes or 2 for coincidence. I want to see. Like, am I the only one like that's putting 2 and 2 together on this? 1 for yes, 2 for no. 1, 1, 1, 1. Got 2. BFG says you guessed the Avengers deal on PS and Xbox. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Is this just purely that? But then I was remembering the language that was in that Capcom deal. The languages that was in that Capcom deal, that remember that contract that was leaked for after the marketing rights for Resident Evil. That contract. It had all this language that extended past a year. Like the deal was for I think a year that they can't go on any other service, but then there was like they need to be informed after that, and then there's like a 3-month thing, and then like once once if they're informed within 3 months, then they have to wait another 2 months to bring it. Avengers came out early September last year. If the language matched specifically the same language as that Capcom deal, this would be too early for me. Yeah, Jean-Marc Louis, I think they are. Not in trouble as in they don't have a business model. They're not going to sell PlayStations. They're not going to sell games. They're going to be fine in that sense. But as far as market share, if that's what you want to call is market share, then hey, that I don't know where it's going to fall in a few years from now, man. Because you talk about a value proposition of all of these games from all of these studios hitting Game Pass, deals being made still, deals being made today, deals being made in the future, a year from now, 2 years from now. Things are being done to build this portfolio and Game Pass subscription model. It is being heavily invested into, right? If you look at it, okay, number one, regardless of what you want to say and controversies and all that stuff, the two consoles are the same price. And one right now does have a power edge. One has a faster SSD, one has a power edge, right? So, same price, one is more powerful. Plus, you have Game Pass. And all of the games that are coming from all of these studios are going to be available for $9.99 a month. Or if you want to go even bigger and get the EA Play as part of it, and also Game Pass for PC and xCloud streaming and all of that shit, you pay $14.99 a month. All of those things, all of these games, Forza Horizon 5, Halo Infinite, Avowed, Perfect Dark, uh, fucking Elder Scrolls 6, Starfield, um, Project Cobalt. Like you could just like, there's so many damn Redfall. Eventually Deathloop will be in there even. You know, you have all of these things, all of them, 14.99 a month. And then on the other platform, you have $70, $70, $70, $70, $70, fucking $70, 70 fucking dollars, $70, $70. That adds up, right? And what talks more than anything for people is value and money, right? And when the good quality, high end content and the regular flow of games, just like we've been seeing recently, keep flowing into that service, if you can only afford one platform a year from now, 2 years from now, not just think about today, but a year from now, 2 years from now, when you look at the breadth of what's available for that service, plus what you have to pay on the other platform, that's going to talk. That's going to talk. Money talks. My wallet talks, right? When I go in there and I'm in Target or Walmart or Best Buy or whatever, and mom, can I get a game console? Like I want one for my birthday. Like I don't care which one. Just like I just want one. I want a next gen console, mom, please. That parent goes into GameStop and talks to the employee, and she asks, "Hey, what do I get for this, and what do I get for this?" And they explain to her Game Pass and all of the games are coming into that. Shit, it's crazy. That's also why I think Xbox needs to keep doing these deals and like have like some licensed stuff, right? Because like so that way those people say, "I want the console that has Spider-Man on it." Right? That's a common thing. I want the console that has this on it. You know, Xbox got that coming with Indiana Jones, but like I think it could be more. And Avengers is a step towards that. It's a step towards getting those type of games into the service but I think there's more to it than that. I think it's something to do with Crystal. I saw a lot of ones earlier. I saw a lot of ones. I saw some twos. It's a lot to think about. Okay, Asante even put in a 3 for a tinfoil hat, dude. Thank you for that. I love the threes. But this is all things that are real, right? I'm not just spinning. A lot of this stuff is not just speculation. Like the stuff with Game Pass and all that stuff, that's real, right? So if Xbox wants to make these deals, they're going to be spending lots of money. That makes things like this Crystal thing possible. I mean, to go out to Square Enix and get their biggest, best Western developer to work on your game, there's something to it. So Beast Mode says he believes I'm not familiar with even this story. It shows how much research I do. He says he believes in the Bloomberg Square story. They might not sell in full, but some of their Western divisions might be up for grabs. Link me to that, please, Beast Mode, because that would kind of fall in line with what we're saying, right? Like, hey, Phil goes to fucking Japan. He has a conversation with people. A few months later, we start seeing this stuff drop randomly at night. Crystal Dynamics, we're excited to be partnering with them on the Perfect Dark. What? When do you see an announcement like that from a first party dev? Like, I mean, I don't have anything problems with it. I was excited about the news, but it was still surprising. And then less than a week later, their biggest game right now, is coming to Game Pass. Busy Dad Gaming says Sony's partnership with Marvel trumps Microsoft at this point. Microsoft doesn't seem to be too interested in doing licensing deals with third. I talked about this earlier, like Star Wars, Marvel, all that stuff. Like I could say the only thing they really went after was MLB because they like bypassed Sony to get MLB onto Game Pass. Um, I think it does add a lot of weight. Like that's why I think like they don't need to take that back, but it would help them if they did do some of these deals. The thing is they're so like, hey, devs, work on what you want to work on type company right now that I think unless one of these devs actually starts the ball rolling on something like that, I don't know if they're going to do it because they like are so interested in their own IPs and everything that they got going right now with their studios. Um, Asante says he's super excited for what's to come. He thought the Crystal Dynamics announcement was amazing. I did too. I mean, people like just look at the problems that Avengers has and like takes it as a slight of that studio. There's a reason Square Enix chose that studio to make this game. That was a big deal for them, right? They didn't want it to fuck up. They went to their biggest team capable of making this game. Now, the question is 3-bit. Yeah, Donnie. Hey, Donnie Skills. We talked about Indiana Jones earlier, which I know they're getting they have that deal in place. What I'm thinking is that was a deal that was proposed and made by Bethesda before the acquisition actually occurred. Because when they made the announcement, even though it was in that time period after Xbox made the announcement of acquiring ZeniMax, it was still before it was official. Like there had already been talks being done. However, I think Bethesda ZeniMax, if they propose stuff like that, I think they have the capability of still making deals like that happen. I think it's Xbox is leaving it up to the devs to promote what they want with this kind of stuff. I don't think they're going to Marvel themselves and things like this, which is something I think would be cool. Like, what if they went to Marvel and said, "Hey, let's see, like, let's get a character. Who do you got? Like Fantastic Four. Let's fucking go. Let's make a Fantastic Four game and let's go get this other studio to make it or whatever. Who knows? I mean, you got a lot of things are possible, But yeah, Indiana Jones is going to be a big thing for Xbox, but we don't know if it's multiplat, which I because we don't know if that deal was signed beforehand, right? If and right now, I would assume maybe it's not, but I'm still kind of close to 50-50 on that. Jay Nichols says, take this with a tiniest grain of salt, guys. OP is saying after the failure of Avengers, Square is looking to sell its Western branch to Ubisoft along with Deus Ex. Well, that would be like, hey, if they sold let's say that happened, right? Maybe if that had been a thing, that this is speculation, fun, right? Fun talk. If that had happened, right? Or if that was a thing, maybe Xbox got involved and swooped in, and that's why we're seeing all these random announcements right now, right? I mean, two surprising announcements back to back. And remember, Avengers had PlayStation marketing rights. Avengers is supposed to have Spider-Man as an exclusive character on PlayStation. We still don't even know when that's coming, but Avengers is coming to Game Pass. Jay Nichols says Square Enix is reportedly an acquisition target for multiple parties as of April 16, 2021 is when okay, this year Microsoft's 7.5 billion acquisition of ZeniMax Media brought a number of new developers. Okay. So I guess this is the article or post that you're referring to. Hey, like their Xbox has been rumored with so many different acquisitions, right? You got Ubisoft, you got Square, you got Sega, you got Take Two, you got fucking Embracer Group, even I think was mentioned. You got Valve, all these different rumors. So like, they're not all going to happen. That would be crazy. But to think that one of them will happen is not crazy because we've already seen it happen with ZeniMax Bethesda. We know that is the thing that they're trying to do is to bring in more value to Game Pass. And if it's one thing to go out and just buy a bunch of smaller studios and then have to micromanage all those things and then really work them into the fold and have to keep your eye on them. You got to assign your different head ups to to really get involved, or if you get a larger entity that it can self-run itself, then you bring that into the fold, and then you only have one person to talk to, really, or a couple people to talk to, but they're running this whole operation, right? It's definitely makes sense if you have the kind of wallet that Xbox does, and you're looking to make the kind of impact that Xbox is, and grow the subscription base as large as they are trying to. And this involves more than just Crystal Dynamics and Square. This involves the whole model of them going with XCloud, with streaming on your phone, your fucking PC. They got a streaming coming for your TV. They got streaming coming for last gen consoles of next gen games. So you're going to be able to play Series X games on an Xbox One, right? Like there's a lot to this. They're trying to make it as accessible as possible for the largest amount of people that are interested in games, right? And that's why Xbox before had always talked about Google and Amazon as their competitors because they were the only other two companies capable of doing this. They were the only two companies that had that wallet to make something like this happen. You had Stadia get announced. You got Luna, right? Xbox had xCloud. But guess what? Xbox also has that those other companies didn't. A deep history dating back decades with gaming. And I'm not just talking about Xbox. I'm talking about even before Xbox with Windows, PC gaming. Gaming has always been a part of the Xbox ecosystem. I mean the Windows ecosystem. Microsoft. It's always been a part. They have a deep history there. They understand games business better than Amazon, better than Google. Right? So you have these other massive tech giant corporations getting involved. That's Microsoft's biggest competition, but they have such a head start. You saw stuff like get happen with Iron Galaxy or whatever get acquired by Amazon when they were working on Killer Instinct and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, like Amazon's getting really invested here. Then you see Google Stadia. Now Google Stadia, like, it's not even a thing right now, right? I don't know, but I don't think Google's out of it for the long haul. I just think they're so confused about how to implement it. Where Xbox has that understanding. They have been leading the way with this stuff. And they are heavily invested into proving that this Game Pass subscription model is going to work. Satya Nadella is making comments left and right saying how deep of a core focus Xbox and the subscription models that they have as part of Microsoft now. They are not done. They have said they're acquiring. If Square Enix has their Western publishing arm, their Western development studios up for grabs, and they're trying to make a deal, it would make sense if Xbox is looking for opportunities to acquire talent, and especially with they already got Daryl Gallagher to help run this thing with some of those Square studios. They already got that connection. He's already got a relationship with the head ups at Square. I could see this as a power move from Daryl Gallagher. I could see this as a power move from Xbox, and I could see them making a deal like that work. Speculation, guys. Back from Dead says Spider-Man is coming to Avengers fall winter on the roadmap for this year from Dev. We just don't have an exact date. I'm just waiting to see the announcement because the game's been out for over a year and we still don't know when it's coming. I want to know when. It's coming to, I know one thing. Avengers is hitting Game Pass before Spider-Man. The game was out for over a year without Spider-Man, which was advertised as for marketing reasons and stuff, coming exclusively to PlayStation before the game came out. Guys, I gotta head out. Guess what? I'm gonna go be on Boom Show. It starts in 20 minutes. Double Barrel Gaming, Xbox Factor Podcast, Tuesday edition. I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna hang out and talk more video games. We got a list of topics. I don't know if he's switching it up because of this news today or not, but we're gonna find out. But I'm gonna go over there, and hopefully I'll see you guys over at Double Barrel Gaming with Mr. Boomstick, Xbox Factor Podcast, and it's gonna be a blast. And I want to thank each and every one of you guys who have tuned into this. This was fun. We're speculating. Take all of this with a grain of salt. I don't know what's to be true. This is what if, but I think something's going on. You guys rock. I hope to see you there. Bye bye.